Happy Thursday. Happy Discover Your Career Weekly Q&A Thursday. Thank you for anyone who's coming out to join or watching it afterwards. This week's a big one. I want to talk about setting career goals. And I want to get into a lot. It's a kind of a deeper topic. I'm not going to do like your typical career goal setting. Like if you Google career goals, they're very boring, formulaic, tactical even, I guess, ways that is typically. I want to talk about the human side of setting career goals so that we can actually move forward in our lives. And the reason why I chose this topic is because for most of us, we want to get ahead. Like wanting to be successful is a natural part of being a human, like it is human nature. But it's hard to move ahead if you don't know what you're moving towards. And goals really allow us to do that. So in order to have these fulfilling careers that really bring us joy and we find satisfying and we find make a difference in the way that we want it to make a difference, that you have to have a goal in mind so that you know where you're moving towards. So there's a few things that I want to talk about. Like usual, I have a good plan of sort of what you want to cover off when you're sort of talking about career goals. So the first thing is allowing yourself to dream your dream. May seem like a silly first step, like, well, don't we all sort of dream? But typically I see one of three things with clients. And number one is you don't have enough time or energy to dream. So these are the individuals who maybe are incredibly overworked and overscheduled. They are being pulled in like every direction. And so the idea of coming up with a goal, having a dream, having a desire, it's just like, oh my gosh, who has time for that? Who has time to come up with a dream and then, or what is the point of coming up with a dream if I don't have the time or energy to actually do something about it? So that is the first type of person. The second type that I see is honestly where, you just don't feel it. You don't feel like you are worth any dreams, worth any desires. So what's the point in coming up with, my dream career or have this lofty career goal when, like, what's the point? I'm not going to get it. It's not going to happen to me. I'm not good enough, strong enough, skilled enough. Don't have the education, financially I can't do it, so like what's the point? So it's similar to the first one with the kind of what's the point, but instead of the time and energy, it's the confidence in creating those goals and knowing that you are worth it and that you can go after it. Now the third type of client I see is the ones dreaming other people's dreams. So these are the dreams that you think you should be going after. So maybe society has told you that, or your parents, or maybe all your friends are doing it. So, you want to do it too. But it's dreaming someone else's dreams. And usually what we can really tell with this is, or when we can really tell this has been happening, is you constantly set the same goal. And you constantly come up with a plan to go after said goal. But when the going gets tough, because it will, you give up. Because you don't want it enough to go through those hard times, to ride that roller coaster. So you need to make sure the dream you're setting is your dream. What do you want to do? What is your purpose in life? You can't let anyone else's dreams muddy that. Because then that way, you'll never achieve it. So with all of these three types, so the people who don't have the time or energy, people that don't have the self-confidence or feelings of self-worth, and the people who aren't dreaming their own dreams, this will probably be where you spend most of your time in this sort of planning stage, is the allowing yourself to dream your dream. And it could come from doing many different things, many different exercises. It could be difficult to come up with one thing. So maybe write a list of 10 or 15, 20, 25 things that you want. And you don't have to stick to just to your career. You can go outside of that in life. See if there's any sort of themes there, or anything that really speaks to you. With the time or energy, it's carving out some of that time. Maybe multitasking, maybe listening to some podcasts, or as you're driving, recording yourself on your phone, talking, and you can sort of verbally do some brainstorming. It could be if you're on the train, it could be while you're helping your kids with their homework, you pulling out a piece of paper and you doing some time figuring it out what it is you want. Because the thing is, especially with goals, especially with career goals, and I mentioned the work and I mentioned the hard times, is you need to find something that is worth carving that time out. It's worth waking up a little bit early, worth spending some time over your lunch break, or worth not watching TV after the kids go to bed, worth spending that time to get what you want, so that when the going gets tough, this is you. This is your purpose. This is something that you must go after. So that sort of drives you through those difficult times. Step 2 is, once you have that sort of career goal, once you've allowed yourself to dream and you've come up with that one thing that you really want to focus on to get yourself ahead in your career, is to write it down. I don't know why has been a study that has shown that you are more likely to be successful if you write it down. But it's also sort of this urban myth that exists. About maybe it's the law of abundance, and you writing it down is a signal to the universe that you're pretty serious about this. Maybe it's a signal to yourself that you're pretty serious about this. But the act of writing it down is key for goals and key for going after them. My suggestion is, when you're doing sort of your initial write down of that one goal, is to keep it simple. So keep it simple, silly, with a kiss. Maybe you write it just on a Post-it note or an index card, and a little, maybe make a little thing even on Canva, one of those graphic designs I make. Something that you can sort of maybe carry around or keep in areas where you can see it, maybe on your desk at home, or some place that when, again, the going gets tough, that you can remind yourself of this goal, sort of that visual on top of having it written down. So that's the second step. So the first step, allowing yourself to dream your dream. The second step, writing it out. Now, I want you to prepare yourself. As soon as you write it down, something will happen. Someone else will come to that party, and that's someone else's fear. So whenever you push yourself out of your comfort zone, fear and self-doubt like to come to play. And they like to tell you things like, are you crazy? Who do you think you are? This is not, there's no way that this is going to happen for you. Or I just don't know. I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know how I'm going to do this. The other thing is, this is not going to make you happy. This is too hard. Fear will try and tear you down. Our brains like to be comfortable. Our bodies like to be comfortable. It's homeostasis. It's a natural, proven biological reaction. Our bodies always like to find this place of comfort. And whenever you sort of shake it up a little bit, fear is the defense mechanism and coping mechanism that comes to the party, that tries to get you back into that comfort zone so that you don't push it. But the thing is fear won't go away. You can't repress it, but you can ignore it. You can say, like as Liz Gilbert, I've quoted her a lot recently, says, you welcome it into your life. So she describes driving in a car, and she's the driver. And fear comes to play, and she's like, oh, come, you can sit in the back seat. You can say what you want to say. Probably going to ignore you and keep going my way. Sometimes it likes to try and move to the front seat, so it gets a little harder to not listen to. But you don't have to listen to it, or you can talk back to it. Because the thing is once you get there, the great things about us as humans and our bodies as humans and our brains as humans is that we will find that equilibrium again. So fear doesn't like us to move forward, but it's not like that level of comfort won't exist once we get to the goal. And we can't our goals as humans is to succeed. And to succeed, we need to move forward and progress. So we can't let fear prevent us from doing that. So know that it's coming. Be prepared for all of those negative things, like that little thing on your shoulder saying you're not worth it, or you're crazy, or you're not smart enough, you're not strong enough, there's no way this will ever happen for you. Ignore it. Or the complacent, I don't know, I don't think so. Maybe let's just wait a little bit. Maybe this just isn't the right time. So just recognize it's coming and just sort of be prepared to handle it. So the third thing, after all of that, the third thing is to finally plan it out. So come up with your plan. What does that plan look like? Your steps. So I really like to focus on steps 1 and step 2. It's hard. I'm a big planner. I love structure. I love planning things. But the thing with planning steps 3 and beyond is, first of all, you can get stuck in the planning. So this is what happens to me. You get stuck in over planning and planning and planning and planning that you never actually get to implementing. Or by the time you get to implementing, some new shiny object has come that's taken your attention away. Or you're exhausted by it already and you give up. So if you plan too far in advance, you have that at risk. And also, you don't know what's going to happen in step 1 and step 2 that may impact step 3 and step 4. So focus on your step 1, the first thing you're going to do, and then come up with your idea for the second thing that you're going to do after that. Okay? And then that way, once you kind of completed step 2, then maybe you want to think of, or completed step 1, then maybe you can start thinking about step 3. Then the next thing is just, you're going to start following through on those steps. You're going to check in with yourself. You're going to be accountable. Maybe you want to find an accountability partner. So the accountability partner could be a mentor, a colleague, a spouse, a coach, anyone who may help and support you on your way to sort of keep you on track, to really help guide you so that you are going after this and that you are more likely to succeed going after this career goal. Mini goals also work. So breaking down that big goal into some mini goals, setting some dates as like some deadlines and timelines are also really good. Just make sure your brain is and your mind is flexible enough with those because as with most goals, there's a lot of things that are outside of our control. And I would hate if you don't meet a deadline that you give up, especially when there's aspects of that don't have anything to do with you. So some of the first steps that you could do could follow my job search roadmap and do the introspection piece. So that really helps out. Or if you already really have a good sense of who you are and what you want, it could be coming up with a communication strategy for talking to management to get noticed. It could be working on those marketing documents. It could be engaging more on LinkedIn, which I'm seeing very active. I know I talked about it last week, the role of social media in our career, but trying to showcase yourself as that thought leader and it's someone that people go to for advice. So these are all different sort of things we can do for setting career goals. So to recap, first of all, allow yourself to dream your dreams. If you don't have the time, or if you feel like you don't have the time or energy, if you feel like that you aren't worth it, or if you have been stuck dreaming other people's dreams, don't give up. Work through all of that. Reach out. Find people to help you, a partner, a colleague, a coach, whatever, so that you can move forward. Number 2 is writing it down. So set that intention. Let the world know about it. Let you yourself know that you're serious about this. And be prepared for that fear to come in and try and tear you down, and don't let it. Number 3, you're going to plan it out. So what are the steps going to look like, especially focusing on the first 2 and not getting too concerned about beyond that. And then checking in on yourself, making sure you're following through on all the things that you said you would do, by having mini goals or some timelines, or having an accountability partner, or someone to check in with. That's everything. Happy hunting. If you have any further questions about this, feel free to reach out. I look forward to talking next week. I don't have any questions to talk about next week, so let me know. What do you want me to talk about here? I want to help you guys out, figure out what your dream career is, and come up with a plan to go after it. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.